This video is for the Higher Graphic Communication 2022 assignment of the Dune Digger toy. This video we are going to look at creating the cab, which is shown on datasheet 2. We're going to start off by creating the cab from the bottom up. So we're going to start creating this kind of larger rectangle that has curved edges. Looking at the plan, the inner rectangle has a distance of 200 by 300, and then it has been offset by 12. So we're going to create this shape before curving the edges. So in Inventor, we are going to look at going to File, New, make sure that we select Metric and that it's a standard millimeter part. Once we've got a new part, we're going to go to Start a 2D Sketch and we're going to click the XZ plane. I'm going to use the rectangle box and I'm going to go down to a 2-point center rectangle and I'm going to draw my box at the 300 by 200, like so. I am then going to use Fillet and change it to 40. And I'm going to curve all corners of this rectangle, like so. Now this is us creating the kind of internal rectangle. We need to offset it by 12 to get the kind of overall larger rectangle. So we're going to look at clicking Offset, select our shape, and then change the distance to 12 so that we have a kind of larger shape 12 away from our original shape. Once I've done that, we're going to look at finishing the sketch. And looking at the drawing, we can see that the height of the base is 30. So we're going to look at extruding both of our shapes to a distance of 30 so that we have this here. Next, we're going to look at creating the loft so that we can have our kind of inner rectangle join this ellipse at the top. So looking at the drawing, we can see that from the top of our rectangle to the ellipse, we have a distance of 50. And that the ellipse itself has a major axis of 200 and a minor axis of 150. Before we start, we're going to have to make a kind of rectangle shape on the top of this just in order for the loft to work. So I'm just going to start a 2D sketch on here. Using my rectangle tool, I'm just going to draw the same shape I did before. So 300 by 200. Using Fillet at 40, just curve all of the edges, like so, and finish the sketch. We're now going to offset our plane so that we can start drawing our ellipse. So we are going to look at our origin folder and see. So I've got a plane here. So I'm going to turn that on. Now we can see that my plane is at the very bottom of my kind of start of the cab. However, if I look at the drawing, it's saying that it's 50 from the top of the rectangle. So I'm going to have to take my 50 and add 30 to get 80 so that when I offset it, it's at the correct position. So if your plane is running along the top, you'll just need to offset it by 50. But if yours is like mine and you're offsetting from the very bottom, you'll have to do it by 80. So I'm going to offset from plane. I'm going to drag the plane up 80. Like so. So I've got a plane, 80 from the bottom, 50 from the top. I'm then going to start a sketch on this plane and I'm going to start using the ellipse tool. So the ellipse can be found in the circle menu and it's just at the bottom. And the first thing you want to do is draw ellipse. Now we don't want to start it from the center. I'm just going to start it further up. And it doesn't really matter what size it is just now. I'm just going to click twice until I've got my ellipse. Now looking at the position of the ellipse, we can see that the kind of back surface is touching that inner rectangle. So first of all, I'm going to make it to the correct size, and then I'm going to get it so that it's sitting in the correct position. So to dimension an ellipse, you're going to click dimension. You're going to click the outer ring of the ellipse, and the first thing we're going to do is click off to the side, and you can see that we want the major axis to be 200, so we want half of it to be 100. Then again, dimension, click the outer side of the ellipse, and this time I'm going to click above it so that it's going from this edge to the centre. And again, the minor axis is 150, so we want to do half of that, which would be 75, like so. Now we need to make sure that the ellipse is in the correct position. So we know that the kind of from the centre of the ellipse to the edge is 100, and we want to make sure that this top part of the ellipse is in line with the kind of smaller rectangle that we have made. So we want to make sure that with the dimension tool, the centre of our ellipse to the centre of our rectangle is a distance of 50. And you can see that that now is in line with the rectangle. So I'm just going to finish the sketch. Now we can look at lofting these two together. So I'm going to click loft, and I want to click the sketch of the inside rectangle to the sketch of my ellipse, and then press OK. And I can now turn off the visibility of the bottom plane just to make it a little bit easier. Now looking at the drawing, the ellipse we can see has a kind of height of 80. So I'm going to make a sketch first of all. So I'm just going to start a 2D sketch on the top of the ellipse. So start a sketch. And then I'm going to click project geometry, and I'm just going to select my ellipse so that it's projected. Once I've done that, I'm just going to finish the sketch. And then I'm going to extrude that by 80, like so. Now the kind of top of the cab on the ellipse has a fillet to it, it has a curve to it. So again, if we look at the drawing, we can see that it's got a radius of 20. So I'm just going to use fillet, change it to 20, and then just select that top part so that it looks like this. And now we can turn off the visibility of that other work plane. Now, having a look at the drawings, we can see that there is hidden detail, and even when we look at the pictorial view, we can see that it says wall thickness of 6. So this shows that it is going to be shelled. Now, it's important that we shell at this moment before we do the kind of cut out of the window or add on the little pins for the wheels. Otherwise, it's not going to shell correctly, because you can see that their hidden detail of the kind of cab top, the hidden detail is just on the wall thickness. It doesn't go all the way through. So we need to shell now. So what we're going to do is we're going to click shell. We're going to change the distance to 6, and we're going to click the base to remove that surface and press OK. And there we've kind of hollowed out the cab. Now that we have created the kind of basic shape of the cab, we're going to look at doing the little kind of antenna on the top. So in order to do that, we're going to have a plane that runs in the middle of this ellipse. Now again, you can use the origin folder to find a mid-plane. Alternatively, if there's no mid-plane showing, you can use the mid-plane between two planes. But in my case, the XY plane is running down the middle. So I'm just going to turn this on, and then I'm going to start a sketch on this plane. By pressing F7, it's going to half our shape, and it's going to make things a little bit easier to see. And again, I can project the geometry of this line and that's going to allow me to find the centre point of this ellipse. Having a look at the antenna part of the top, which is shown in detail A, what we're going to do is we're going to look at sketching out half of this shape so that we can fully revolve it. So the first thing we can see from the pictorial view is that the largest diameter is 46, and then the kind of inner part before the ball on the top is 6. So we're going to start off with the 46, and we're going to draw a line from the middle of our ellipse out to the side, 23, and then we're going to give that a height of 6, like so. So we've done this line and then this line. We're now wanting to find the centre point of this circle. So we know that that's 6, then it's 20, and then 10. So it's 36. So I'm going to use my line tool and draw a line up at 36. Like so. The kind of ball at the top has got a radius of 7. So I'm going to use my circle tool and I'm going to draw a circle at 14, like so. And then at the top of the 6, I'm just going to join that on to that line. I'm also going to join on the top just so that I can trim half the circle away. Now looking at the drawing again, we can see that this has a radius of 20, so we're going to try and find this centre point by using line. So I'm going to use line, and I'm going to go from the top of my 6, 20, so that I've got a kind of centre point for my circle. And then again, using circle, set at 40, I've now got that kind of curve. Next, we're just going to use trim to trim away any of the kind of excess lines. So I'm going to trim the little inside part here. Like so. I just delete this line too. And what that should now allow us to do is revolve this kind of remaining shape. So I've finished the sketch and I'm going to click revolve. Now we don't want to click the big 40 circle instead. We just want to click the 3 parts that are going to make the little antenna. And then for the axis, we're going to click our 36 line. And then we're just going to press OK. And we can see that the little antenna has went on the top. Next, we're going to look at creating the kind of windows that go through the cab. We can see from the elevation that it's a rectangle 80 by 40, and it is subtracted through the entire component, the front and the back, and that from the kind of top of the ellipse to the bottom of the rectangle has a distance of 20. So to make things easier, I'm just going to turn off this plane. And this time we're now just going to have to look for a plane that can kind of run down the centre of this ellipse, the kind of opposite direction. So in this case, my YZ plane is running the opposite direction. So I'm going to turn on the visibility and I'm going to start a sketch onto that plane. And again, press F7 to make things a bit easier for us. And we're going to use the rectangle tool, and I'm going to use the 2-point centre rectangle, and I'm going to make that 80 by 40. So make it 40 and then 80. And then using the dimension tool, we want it to be from this edge of the ellipse to the bottom, and that has to have a height of 20, like so. Once I've done that, I'm just going to finish the sketch. I'm going to click extrude. I'm going to change it to symmetric, and I just want a number that is going to go all the way through it. We want to make sure that we extrude subtract it. So click and cut at the bottom and pressing OK, and we want the window to be able to go all the way through the cab. We can also then turn off the visibility of the plane so that we're left with the cab looking like so. And then the last thing we need to do for the cab is to put on these kind of axles for the wheels to join onto. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw them on one side and then we're going to mirror it onto the other side. So I'm going to start a sketch on one side, and we can see on the pictorial view that we've got a circle at 24 and a circle at 12, and they're 164 away from each other. And then if we look at the elevation, they stick out 40. So we're going to draw our two circles, or our four circles, and then look at extruding them. So start off, and we want them to be in the middle. Yes, we want them to be inside the middle. So 24 and 12. So I'm going to find the middle line and I'm going to draw a circle at 24 and then a circle at 12. And then again, circle at 24 and a circle at 12. And we want to make sure that they are 164 away from each other. So I'm going to do the two centres and then do 164, like so. And then we want to make sure that from the edge to the circle it's 80. So dimension from the edge to the centre of a circle and make sure that is 80. And then we're going to finish the sketch and we're going to extrude them out 40. So extrude, and we just want the bit in between the two circles, and we're just going to make that 40, like so. Now we're going to find a plane that runs in the middle so that we can mirror this. So I'm going to do mid plane between two planes, and I'm going to click both sides of the cab so that I can get a centre plane. I'm then going to click mirror, and I'm going to click my circles, and then I'm going to select mirror plane, select my centre plane and press OK, and then turn off the visibility of the plane, and then you can see that that has repeated on the other side. We now also have the part at the front and the back of the cab, and this is where the bucket connects to, so we're going to do that next. So we can see that we've got kind of two semicircles, and then they're connected with a kind of little dibble in the middle. So what we're going to do is we are going to create again one on one side, and then we'll just mirror it onto the other side. So first thing we're going to do is find a plane that runs down the middle. So I'm just going to do mid plane between two planes so that we've got one like so. And then I'm going to start a sketch on this plane, and again press F7 just to make it a little bit easier for myself. And if we look at these kind of semicircles, we can see that it has a radius of 15 and it comes out 20 from the cab, and it's got a thickness of 12. So we've got 12 and then 20, and then it'll be another 12. So first of all, we're going to look at drawing this radius of 15. So Inventor, I'm going to start off with my rectangle tool, and I want to make sure that it's a 2-point rectangle, and we want it to have a height of 30 but a width of 20, and then we are going to use our circle tool to go into the centre and then just touch the edge so that we've got a circle at 30. Then we're just going to finish the sketch, and then we're going to extrude all of the parts in both directions, and we want to make sure that this is going to the full length of it. So we've got 12, then 20, then another 12. So we want to go 44. Like so. Now we can turn off the visibility of this plane, and then we're just going to start a sketch on the top of the part that we've just created. So this bit here, so that we're viewing it from the front, or from the top, sorry. And then we're going to look at creating this 20 gap, like so. So again, using rectangle, I'm going to put it in line with the edge. And it doesn't really matter about the length, but we do want to make sure that it is 20 wide. And using dimension tool, we want to go from one side to this and make sure that it is 12. Then we're going to finish the sketch. We're going to click extrude. Make sure that we change it to direction 2 so that it's extrude subtracting, and then press OK. Now we're going to put a little dibble that kind of runs in the middle. So we're going to start a sketch on the inside surface, like so. And again, press F7 to make it a little bit easier for yourself. We're going to use project geometry to click the curve so that we can get the center point. And then we're going to draw the little dibble at 14. So using the circle and the center point, we're going to make it 14. And then finish the sketch. And then we're going to extrude this a distance of 20 and press OK. And you can see that that's now joined them together. Now we're going to mirror this onto the other side. So we're going to need to have a plane that runs down the middle. So again, I'm going to go mid-plane between two planes. I'm going to click the front of the cab and the back of the cab so that we get a plane that's running down the middle. Now when we're mirroring, we need to click all three parts. So select mirror, and you want to select the part that you made first, the gap that you've cut out, and the little dibble that you have made too. And then you're going to change it to mirror plane, and then select the middle plane, and then press OK, and you should have all three parts copied onto the back. Once you've done that, turn off the visibility of the plane and then save it somewhere safe, because that is now the cab completed.